I remember I turned to him on the first shot and I said, "Is that okay?" He says, "You're directing." So
directing?
Yeah, so I said, okay.
One of the most important sequences in movie history is the infamous shower scene in Alfred Hitchcock's 1960 masterpiece, Psycho.
The impact of the shower sequence was electrifying.
This iconic scene has long been attributed to Hitchcock's directing genius. However, a claim by renowned graphic designer Saul Bass challenges this narrative, suggesting he, not Hitchcock, directed this chilling moment.
He was generous enough to say to me, look, you've worked it out, go ahead, direct them.
Get ready to explore the controversy of who really directed the shower scene in Psycho.
I had felt for some time that the audience involvement with a film should really begin with the very first frame.
In the 1950s, Saul Bass established himself as a visionary in the field of film title design.
There seemed to be a real opportunity to use titles in a new way, to actually create a climate for the story that was about to unfold.
His innovative use of animation and abstract imagery set a new standard for title sequences.
My position was the first frame of film, whatever it is the first frame of the film. And the film begins then.
Beyond his contributions to cinema, Bass made a significant impact in the corporate world, designing enduring logos for major companies, including iconic designs for AT&T, United Airlines, and Minolta. Back in Hollywood, his working relationship with Alfred Hitchcock began in the late 1950s, producing some of the most memorable title sequences in movie history. Their first collaboration was on Vertigo, where Bass's use of swirling patterns and a dreamlike quality complemented Hitchcock's psychological thriller. This was followed by North by Northwest, where Bass created a title sequence helping to set up the film's themes of espionage and suspense.
What a performance!
After North by Northwest, Saul Bass was enlisted by Hitchcock to lend his creative skills to the title design for Psycho. Bass ended up crafting another strong sequence for a Hitchcock film.
His titles were wonderful.
Hitchcock also decided to enlist Bass to help in another area of the film's production. Before filming began, Hitchcock and screenwriter Joseph Stefano were faced with challenges in adapting the chilling shower scene from the Robert Bloch book of the same name.
There was no storyboard on it when I wrote it. I just described the fact that she gets into the shower, then someone comes in with a knife and kills her.
The novel's vivid description of the deadly shower scene needed to be translated into a visual sequence that would shock and captivate audiences, while also satisfying the censorship standards of the time.
We had in it the murder of a woman in a shower, a nude woman. Now, as you know, you could not take the camera and just show a nude woman being stabbed to death. It had to be done impressionistically.
Hitchcock's new job for Saul Bass was coming up with a vivid storyboard sequence for the shower scene.
So at that point, Saul Bass came in and did a storyboard on it.
He engaged me originally to design the shower sequence and several other sequences that were crucial to the film. My theory of the thing was I really wanted it to be a sort of a tour de force where you could really get all the horror and all the anxiety without really ever showing blood except by inference at the end.
Filming the famed shower scene in Psycho was a painstaking task for Alfred Hitchcock and his creative team, requiring an extraordinary level of precision and innovation.
I think in that scene there were 78 pieces of film in about 45 seconds.
The scene took 7 days to shoot, involving over 70 camera setups to capture all the angles and quick cuts that would create the illusion of brutal violence.
You should have seen the blood. Well, it's too horrible to describe.
Once we rolled the cameras, it was a matter of seconds of getting the shot. It was up to Jack Russell, the cinematographer, to light each setup and to move the camera around. It was tedious for him in the time that it took to light.
The audience finally just in this frenzy of chung, 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 chung. Each cut was like a stab of the knife, and eventually the audience said, in their mind, this was a knife, that was a knife, and it was a cut.
The shower scene in Psycho had a profound impact on the film as a whole, serving as its most pivotal and shocking moment, something that stuck in the minds of those who saw the film when it was first released.
The impact of the shower sequence was electrifying. There were screams, people running up the aisles. I've never experienced anything like it in a movie theater before or since.
This sequence not only jolted audiences with its unexpected brutality, but also marked a dramatic turning point in the story.
It's pure film and done by the master.
As the years passed and Psycho's reputation only became more profound, a story began to surface from Saul Bass about his level of involvement in the film.
That experience was an extraordinary experience for me, because what happened was Hitchcock took me under his wing on that film and gave me what amounts to an intensive short course in filmmaking.
Bass claimed that he not only storyboarded the shower scene, but he also directed it, orchestrating the camera angles, rapid cuts, and overall visual narrative.
He was generous enough to say to me, look, you've worked it out, go ahead, direct them. So there we were on the set. Hitch was sitting on his, in his Buddha mode on his high director's chair, and I set up the sequence, and I remember I turned to him on the first shot and I said, is that okay? He says, You're directing. So I
directing?
Yeah,
My
so I
God.
okay.
The involvement of Bass apparently extended to the editing room as well.
And then he was kind enough to let me work with George Tomasini, who was the editor, and I edited the sequence with George.
Bass's claims seemed to be supported by the detailed storyboards he created, which closely matched the final film.
I was walking in where angels fear to tread. I didn't even understand how one had to be concerned about that. I said, it's okay to be, it'll work.
However, members of Hitchcock's cast and crew refute the claim Bass's role extended to actually directing on set.
Over the years, this rumor sprung up that Saul Bass had directed the shower scene.
I want to put that to rest right now. I was on the set every second of every foot of film that was shot on Psycho, and Mr. Bass never directed a scene in that motion picture. Mr. Hitchcock directed every scene in that picture.
But even with statements from those who worked on the set, the debate around the importance of Saul Bass's role in Psycho continued to circulate.
I believe that Saul Bass conceived the shower scene in Psycho because of how graphic it is, the upshot of the water coming out, but he didn't do it in a vacuum.
The director is in charge. It was Hitch's. He approved it. He encouraged me to do that.
I had a very pleasant meeting with Mr. Bass, and my impression was that he felt it was a great moment in his career. He was thrilled to have done it. He would have liked a little more credit, I think.
Mr. Bass got full credit for what he did, and what he did was brilliant. But to say that he directed it, I tell you that no one directed that scene except Mr. Hitchcock.
With Saul Bass most likely overstating his role on Psycho, controversies like this will continue fueling discussions about authorship and collaboration in filmmaking. Regardless of the exaggerations, Psycho's shower scene remains a testament to the use of innovative techniques in creating suspense and horror, whether through Hitchcock's meticulous work as the director or from Bass's visionary storyboards.
After all, he's the master, so maybe he knows best. But nevertheless, that's sort of unimportant. The thing is, it was a terrific experience, and it was really quite a wild thing that happened to me.
Next week, we shall be back with another story. Join us then. That is, if you have nothing better to do.